If you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel, you can for $1 a month over on Patreon. Thank you. Here's the big one. Here's the one thing. We're not doing what we did last time, where we had 4 people talking at the same time.
Yeah, it was a bit of a...
They've got their own show they're going on, which I wasn't invited to, but I decided to decline. Sorry, Morgan and James, but this is my podcast, and I want to do this. So, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie. Sonic 2, the movie, The Hedgehog. The Hedgehog movie. The Hedgehog 2, the Sonic.
Yeah.
Sonic versus Knuckles.
Yes. By all names.
Where the hell do I start?
Well,
okay, start at the end, okay?
Okay.
Is Sonic 2 a good film? Yes. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is definitely a good film. People should watch it. Kids will fucking love it, and the adults will laugh along with it as well.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Is it better than the first one, though?
That's the tricky one.
Because I think it's equal. I think it's equal part because both have, in some ways, guys, Morgan was talking to me about this as well. I said to him that in many ways, Sonic 2 surpasses Sonic 1 in expectations. But at the same time, it kind of just doesn't do anything different than anything. Doesn't do, what's the word? I can't talk. It's been a long day. It doesn't really, do anything better than Sonic 1. Like, they both have great action moments. They have great comedy. They both have a weak scene. But I feel like the human scenes in the first film worked better than the second one. Even though there were less of them in the second one, I feel like they were just kind of dragged on.
Well, we'll get to them when we get into it.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely a great sequel. As far as video game movies go, yeah, this definitely is breaking that cycle. Make a movie, it sucks, move on to the next fucking, pawn on the video game, which is the most popular one we can make to make more money.
Yeah, again, I'm still waiting for the day for the Tetris movie to come out. That will be something.
Oh, I'd be surprised it turns out to be a biopic.
Oh, that'd be fun.
It makes more sense to me. It's called the movie Tetris. It's about Tetris. Well, yeah, it's about Tetris, but not,
I'd rather just
not personifying the freaking Tetraminos.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I'd rather just be a bio documentary than something, what are the cubes got against humanity type deal. So
the only way that would work, you actually use the Tetraminos that were actually personified in Puyo Puyo Tetris.
But that's a different thing altogether. Yeah.
So what do you think of the movie? Like, the overall opinion?
Okay, so first off, I saw this twice now. I saw it once with Mike Jr. and they absolutely loved it. They were giggling and laughing all the way through. Then I saw it again with another mate at the used to be the Odeon Cinema, that's now Everyman. So I saw it in the big screen room, and I feel, and again, I've had a few days to think about it, and I do enjoy it, although I do have some minor quibbles to one issue that I have with the film, which I'll get into. As you said before, it's like, I don't know. I'm still on the fence of, like, do I think it's better than movie 1? The difference being is that everybody thought movie 1 was going to be dog shit, all right? The expectations were so low of, Sonic goes to Earth and goes on a road trip with a small town cub. Oh, how thrilling.
Yeah, the thing about Sonic 1 is that it was surprisingly good. That adjective surprisingly fits it very well because, like you said, Sonic the Hedgehog in a movie, live action with a CGI character, the fact that it changed studios, it was going to be more realistic, more realistic Sonic. James Marsden, who's appeared in a lot of films with CGI rodents.
Yeah, well, the big one was,
and it's not, it's not a. One of the voices of Sonic you expect Jaleel White, or at least the current Roger Craig Smith.
Yeah,
it's someone called Ben Schwartz. Who the fuck's Ben Schwartz? Oh, he voiced a character in DuckTales. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, though, when I heard him in Rise of the TMNT as Leo, a little bit when he goes, "So, you guys from New Jersey?" I just thought, that's Sonic. Okay, I'm with him.
Yeah, I saw that as well. Like, it just clicked. And then Jim Carrey as Robotnik with hair. It's like, really?
Well, to be fair, that was
on top of all that, that first trailer, it's like, yeah, this film is going to fail.
Yeah, I mean, we did say there is a huge difference from when the advertisement for movie one came out, and then sort of with a delay or whatever, and now the fact that we went from everybody thought this was going to be the worst thing ever, the death of Sonic the Hedgehog again, all that stuff, and people coming out going, oh, that was actually quite fun. So there you go. And now people's expectations have been heightened more. So yeah, I did have a feeling in the back of my head, it's like, this could suck. I mean, it could suck. I was pleasantly surprised by movie one, but I was worried I was going to be disappointed by this one. And as I said, it's, like I said, I do enjoy a lot of it, but I do have my quibbles with it.
Yeah. I was going to say now. I think because the marketing, the actual hype behind Sonic 2, because everyone wanted to succeed. Like, it was going to be good. It's, that general marketing is like, yes, it's the best movie ever out the whole year. You're going to compete with freaking Doctor Strange 2, okay? You are going to be second best at the entire year.
Well, to be fair, though, the thing it was going up against was Morbius. Hey, let's see the Jared Leto vampire movie.
Yeah, no one expected that to be good. No one expected that to be good.
Yeah, and apparently the thing is, people pointed out saying, hey, those things they were teasing? It's like, oh, there's the Vulture and all the teaser for future Marvel movies. Guess what? They took them out of the movie, so you stuck with Jared Leto.
Yeah.
So it's tough to sit them. And again, they also got I should mention this as well as weirdly enough of all things, my side of the world, we got the movie actually about 6 days before you, so I had to spend a few days not telling you anything as well. So that was
you got it on April 1st. I had to wait until the 8th. Even though there was early access screenings on Wednesday, I didn't go to.
Yeah, I know there was a a premiere screening for guest stars, even Sonic influencers. Some people we've seen on the internet, some Call Me Johnny and a few other people have got.
Oh yeah, Tails channel. That was Tails channel.
Yeah, exactly. So they got to go. Lucky sods.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. I saw the film, like a normal patron.
Yeah.
Again, it's like a lot happens in this film. I will say as well. Also, the first act I think was better done in the first film.
Okay.
There's nothing really happened in the first act, not until Knuckles shows up.
Yeah, I mean, really, carry on.
It's in the first act, you were introduced to Sonic, Longclaw, how he got to Earth, and then introduced to Tom, and what Sonic's been doing. It's a lot of build up until they actually meet.
Yeah.
The second act was a bit lacking, but the third act was great. This one, the first act was lacking. Second act was great up until between the bridge between the second and third act. Which actually the second act was probably the weakest part.
Yeah, well,
and the third act is the entire second act. Well, not the entire second act, but most of the second act was pretty much the weakest part of the entire film.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that from my perspective is that I think it started off strong, and then when it got to the middle, there was a few hiccups for me, and then it sort of upset me for the end, the rest of the film for me. Not upset emotionally, but just more just upset my enjoyment at least.
Yeah, because we're going to spoiler territory now, okay? Because we can't really discuss anything else unless we actually describe what we saw, what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the main things we could at least say is basically that most of the things that are in it, it looks good, it sounds good for the most part. I mean, Carlina's Tales, again, great the fact that she got to be in this movie and she's been, interviewed. There's been lots of interviews with her, and it's great that, the voice actress from the games got to be in the film, and, it's boost up the fact that, the side of Korea actually makes a big deal. Idris Elba as Knuckles, again, surprisingly well done. I wasn't sure how he was going to be handled in this, but, a lot of people really like him. And yeah, from just a general, objective side of it, it's a decently well-made film for what it is, especially when it was made in the middle of it.
We don't hate it. It's actually very enjoyable.
Yeah,
but I think it's like I kind of want to compare it to Speed Racer in a sense.
Okay, that's an interesting. I mean, yeah, Speed Racer is. I mean, let's be fair. That this is not a 10 out of 10 film. All right, it's an entertaining kids film. That's what it wants to be, and that's what it succeeds for the most part. In my opinion, I don't think of it as better.
And it does deliver on a lot of hype, and especially for fans.
Yeah, I will say, hand on heart, though, I don't think this is like better than, say, the Lego Movie, for instance, because again, that was a film that nobody thought that was going to work, and it's going to be just a dumb, silly movie, you know, every other cliche in it, but it actually had something to say about humanity in a weird way through Lego. So yeah, it's nowhere near as good as that, but as a piece of entertainment, yeah, it does entertain people.
I was going to say Iron Man 2 for a second because that's kind of struggles on the same format.
Well, well, again,
because think about it, no one expected Iron Man to be like this big blockbuster hit, but it really did work. And Iron Man 2 was kind of just made to bridge to the Avengers movie.
Yeah,
and I don't know, just kind of floundered. There was not really much substance to it.
Yeah, I mean, Iron Man 2, I mean, we saw that together. I mean, we did enjoy it at the time, although when you look back on it, it's like it is the difficult second album issue. It's like, where do you go from here? Because we know there's bigger stuff yet to come.
Yeah. Well, yep. Spoilers now. Click away if you don't want to listen to it. But you have been warned. If you want to keep going, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with a very weak, the most out of nowhere, stupidest part of the film. Which it made me kind of giggle when it first happened, but it just went on way too long.
Okay, we're starting here. That's where we're starting.
We're starting at the worst part of the film.
Okay, here we go.
Well, maybe second, depending on what your preference is, but I think it's the worst.
Okay.
And that is the fucking dance scene.
Yeah, this whole thing. So if you've seen the trailer, like, the big thing is that Sonic and Tails end up in the middle of the Himalayas, basically, and they go to a cavern with all these Siberia, sorry. So, and you've seen the trailer, like, they go in and, you know, in the puffer jackets and whatever. And I will say that the gag of, again, the whole thing of like seeing all these hardcore men, you know, there's like guy with a glassy eye, one with a knife. There's an old lady who's knitting something. They do a joke, oh, she's nice, and then it's skull and crossbones, and then of all things, you have a guy chopping a fish head off, rolls up and goes, run. You know, but I will say that
made me giggle. That made me giggle.
I mean, I will say that again got us, all three of us, laughing, just like, what the hell, you know, it's that type deal.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's basically a different version of the bar scene from the first film.
Yeah,
but the bar scene made more sense.
That's what I was going to bring up, because again, my big worry was that they were just going to copy the biker bar from the last movie, and to some extent it is a copy, but it's not the exact same one. It does that sequel thing. It's the same, but on a bigger scale, or a different scale, at least in this case.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, Tails is trying to translate something, doesn't really work. You know, I guess that's a nod to the translator from Sonic Colors.
I guess, I mean, it's just an excuse. It's like, oh, let them, you know, they're trying to hide out. They're in these, you know, they don't know they're animals yet until they, you know, ruffle them after saying, I farted, you know, joke. Yeah.
And they almost get thrown into a fire because they're, quote, monsters.
Yeah, free them to fire, you know, the whole thing.
And all of a sudden it's like Tails shouts a word, and it's basically a word just to challenge. And you think, oh, it could be a fight because he's got a big tattoo of himself in the same pose.
He's got a tattoo of himself on his chest. I mean,
the same pose he's doing. It's like,
yeah,
okay, that's kind of funny, but it only works once on the first viewing, and it turns out to be a dance-off. Yeah. Okay, you caught me by surprise then.
Yeah, that is, I mean, here's the thing. I would say Sonic Movie 2 there's a lot of jokes in this, and I'd probably say it's going for more comedy this time around. And I would say most
definitely.
Work.
Sorry?
I was going to say, for the most part, I think the comedy does work, and like I said, that is a good way of subterfuging what you think is going to happen, and then the opposite happens. And I will say, I do like it when they initially try to dance. They, like, you know, start slipping over each other, you know, the crap at it and whatever. So it's like, okay, they're really out of the depth of this bit.
Yeah, and I put on a 90s tune. Or 80s tune. I'm not too sure what song that is. I just know I heard it once in Family Guy.
Last couple of years. It's like a popular song that's been around for ages.
Yeah, and something that you know how to cooperate and choreograph.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah, so do you want me to go on this? Because this is the thing I want to chat
go ahead. I mean, I think it's just, you know, okay. I'd rather skip it on the second. I'd rather skip it when it comes on Blu-ray.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's my thing. All right. So my thing is that, like I said, I've seen it twice. And like I said, for the most part, it's like I did enjoy it for the most part, but there was something about the film that was really nagging me, and I just couldn't figure what it was. And then it was the second viewing. It's like, oh, yeah, this bit again. And it's like, put it this way. It's like, think about this. The way it works is like, you know, you think to yourself, oh, it's a kids movie, you know, most of the time they always put like a silly dance sequence in there. And the fact is, in movie one, like we say, it is trying to be like a sort of upping what they did with the biker bar in movie one. But in movie one, it was like, well, that's still made base. It's still, for as much as ridiculous things happen, it was still set in reality for the most part. It was still set in.
It was still tropey because you have that. Oh, let's just go to a bar or a restaurant or a playground, and shenanigans happen.
Shenanigans happen, and again, they do take the fact that okay, he's a quick thing, so plays basketball. He literally curls up and jumps in the basketball thing and does high score himself. He throws darts. And he throws darts like crazy.
His quill pokes a woman's ass.
Oh yeah, that happens, and Tom gets slapped for sexual assault.
So it makes sense. It's like Sonic sees something that's really cool. It's like that's a kid. That's obviously a kid. This one is like, no. I mean, going into a hut to actually wait out the storm. That's one thing.
Yeah, because the whole thing is that because the map. We'll get into that a bit later. But yeah, the whole thing is it's still set in that thing, and it's paid off with basically it's basically doing like the Quicksilver thing set up, but I argue say I prefer this over Quicksilver thing for X-Men, but that's just me. But it still works. It's still all set up in this. In this case, the thing that really bugged me is that the reason this happens is because they lose the map, somebody picks it up and then throws it out, and then at one point the guy dancing with the tattoo has it on his shoe, and it's like says, "I'm going to get it." And you would have think he just would have zipped there and get it off his foot, but no, he goes off like if we were just trying to get it off his foot normally. I'm thinking, dude, why the hell aren't you doing that? And I know that's a very nitpicky thing, but this is what I mean. It's that point of a film where you start questioning the logic of things, something's wrong with the entertainment value of the film. And like I said, the thing that really annoyed me is that, they do this whole thing, then suddenly they turn the music on and they just do this fucking dance out of nowhere, perfectly choreographed, whatever. But it's like, again, why didn't they do some? Again, it just feels like it just came out of nowhere. In fact, a reviewer, Mark Kermode, reviewed it, and his attitude is his initial complaints were he thought it was a bit too long, wasn't a fan of Jim Carrey's, comedic acting thing, and he just felt the dance sequence. It felt like it came from a different film, which is pretty much on the point. Yeah, it did feel like it just came out of a different kids' film of all things.
Yeah.
And like I said, that for me is what really just kind of got. Again, when I saw this with Mike and Junior, they were laughing, they were having fun, but I was kind of going, and then my second view, I'm just thinking, oh yeah, get this over with. And like I said, what annoyed me the most is I can see a version of it working just in a different way. Like my attitude is, because this is meant to be the point where Tails and Sonic become friends, right? This is meant to be the moment where they bond with each other, because we have a scene earlier where he talks about how he, discovered Sonic, because of the baseball incident thing. And again, that was one thing I went into this movie. I really wanted the relationship of those two to really be capitalized in this film. That was what I was hoping to do. If the first movie was about Sonic finding a friend, this movie should be him having a brother, effectively. And
it didn't do that.
And that's the thing. This is where it happens, and they do it with this fucking dance scene. And that's like, really? This is what you're cementing the relationship on? This, of all things?
There was more of a relationship between Sonic and Knuckles and Sonic and Tails in this.
Yeah, and like I said, it's like there is another bit after the dance sequence. There is a bit where they start chatting with each other, and it's like, "Do you consider me your mate?" And all that stuff, and that's nice, that's good. But like I said, this is what you're cementing the relationship on through this sequence, and that's what really got under my skin, pretty much, when I started thinking about this more. And like I said, the thing is, this is going to be a bit armchair director here. It's like I can see a version of this working in a different way, as in, okay, all right, you have them try to dance, they're crap at it. You have them all being, it's like freaks, and you see Tails actually getting a bit nervous because it brings that whole aspect up. And I thought, there is a line where it says, they call us freak, let's get freaky. And I would have thought would have been better is Sonic taking the rings out, throwing portals out, and just having them jump through it, doing all these acrobats and stuff, like they're amazing the audience. But at the same time, like the main guy, spook him out so he can nick the map off him.
Or even just do the after image thing like he did in the Sonic 1.
Well, that's the thing, because I did wonder, it's like, well, surely if Tails, because again, they show later on is that Tails can keep up with Sonic at his regular, not running speed, effectively. So it's like, well, can he? Because that's what I was worried about. Like, why didn't you just zip to get this thing off the map? It's like, surely Tails can keep up with him. He doesn't have to do that whole thing again. And like I said, that for me,
it just showed off one aspect of the film, and that was the holograms.
Yeah. And like I said, for me, that has been the moment that's been really stuck in my mind for the most part, because after that, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. It's like for the rest of the film, I will say for the most of it, it does play really well. Like, afterwards we get them traveling to the mountains and the whole, finding it, getting the compass and then the whole thing in Hawaii, and then getting to the temple, to the labyrinth, all that's good. We'll get into that. But that thing for me was the nub that really rubbed me up the wrong way. And in fact, when I was watching this, I was reminded, weirdly enough, I kept thinking of Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, because there is a similar, and I want to make this clear, I'm not saying this is on the same level as Revenge of the Fallen. First of all, this is way more entertaining film than that is. But there is a similar thing of, it starts off fairly well, and then they go on this whole mission thing, and there's a bit of a slum in the middle where it's just like pondering around. Most of the other Transformers are out of the picture for the long part, and then you get the big battle in the desert that goes on too long. And again, it just becomes kind of like just, get on with it type deal. And like I said, I think the movie, for the most part, pacing-wise, which is something I thought the first movie did really well, it never felt like I was stuck in a scene that just like, oh, get on with it. You know, it's just like, oh, not this bit. It always felt snappy. Everything was there for a reason, to do a joke, to set the plot up or whatever. It always felt like you were moving on to the next bit. It never felt like it was dragging itself along, which is something I was worried for this movie was going to do, being 2 hours long. And I will say, for the most part, it doesn't. But I do think it is a little, I think towards the end, you do feel like it's a little too long. I will say that the running time is a little too long for its own good.
Yeah, like this, like I said earlier, the marketing for this film, like so much hype. It's like, okay, last time I played it safe with a 90-minute movie. Now we've got 2 hours to do what the hell we want.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, they packed a lot in this film, a lot of references, a lot of like you said, comedy and good action as well. It's like after that dance scene, the film picks back up with we have a fantastic snowboard section.
Yeah. Like I said, it does. This is what I mean when I say it's like the rest of the film is still entertaining. There's a lot of good stuff I should be enjoying from that point onwards, but that was still in the back of my mind. That's what really upset my enjoyment for the rest of the film. And like I said, that was the nub of it all that really kicked off my sort of like, I'm not sure about this one.
Yeah, for me though, the scene that really, I would say the second worst scene, is the wedding scene. Like, all right, we got Tom being there, like that was all established, going to Hawaii and go for the ring rather than the airplay, which I would rather do in real life, to be honest.
Exactly, yeah. I love the fact that when they purposely know they're going on vacation and they're going to use the ring to do it, and Sonic sets it up like an airport thing. I thought that was really cute, and it is.
Yeah, let's let him get out of the system.
Yeah. In fact, actually, I think of the second time running, he's holding like a notepad, and I think there is an image of him in like a Hawaiian suit thing in the drawing. I think when we get on home media, we'll be able to see that properly.
Yeah. But you come back and forth to Tom and whatnot. Then the wedding scene comes on. It's like, okay, how long will I spend doing this? And then Gunn shows up. Turns out the whole wedding scene was just a Operation Catfish to capture Sonic. And and Tails as well, just because.
Yeah, well, because
they had to bring in Adventure 2 stuff. Like, okay, here's Gunn. There's the General Olive Garden.
Yeah, Olive Garden's back here, and there is a joke. I mean, you hear on the radio where it's like they tell him that Robotnik might be back, and he says, "Oh, cancel my reservation to Olive Garden." It's like he really likes that place. That guy, he really does.
Yeah. And I will say the actual, the groom, he does redeem himself. And Rachel, I can't remember Tom's wife's name for some fucking reason.
Maddie, that's her name.
Okay. Maybe it's still simple as a name. I don't remember it. It's like, what's your name? Fred.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember. Like, I don't know how often they say her name in the film. It's one of those things. Sometimes
they don't really. I mean, I heard Rachel a lot more than Maddie.
Yeah.
Rachel's actress. Fucking hell, she came into her own on this one. She made me giggle, like the Scorn Bride. Like, holy shit, she's working it.
Yeah, I will say that was something I was a bit worried initially, the wedding thing, because again, it's like in movie one we get there, and of course she's the the flustered woman. Oh my god, what's happening? And I did think to myself, and again, nothing against the actress, but you do worry, thinking, oh, it's going to be the sassy black woman thing. We've seen it in movies, that whole thing, and it's Tyson, but she is funny. She's really funny. My favorite bit in the first movie is when the doll pulls the tower off Sonic and she goes, "Oh, catch me, Jojo." Just so deadpan. I love that. I love that line. And even when she's tied up, she's like tied up at the end of the film, for God's sakes, with a daughter
Jojo
running.
Put on my Fitbit, just Jojo running. Gotta go fast.
Exactly.
Gotta go fast.
Yeah, just like, Mama needs to put some steps in it. It's like, again, I like it when she's being really deadpan. In fact, like I said, I was worried that this was going to be, because I saw in the trailers, like, there's a bit in slow motion where, like, I'm going to
cut the throat, yeah.
thing. And I was worried thinking, oh God, they're really going ape shit with this. And to be fair, it still works. She's still really funny in this film. And they do give a reason for her to going ballistic in this. It's totally understandable.
I just felt that the whole scene of them trying to infiltrate the hotel to get rid of the gun agents and get Sonic out, that kind of went on too long. But like they get to use Till's gadgets, like he has a boomerang and he has a gun.
Yeah, I will say, I'll bring this up quickly. We'll get to it. I'll say, for the most part, the VFX in this movie are really good for the most part. Although I will say the boomerang that's used, that looked a bit like last minute Photoshop type deal. Just the after trail effect they put on it. It looked a bit kind of, that's the only.
You can give the excuses otherworldly, so yeah.
Yeah, but again, it's like I said, for the rest of the film, it's literally 98% pretty good, and then there's one or two that are a bit, but whatever.
Yeah, and after that we go to Robotnik, and they
I'll say this about the wedding thing. I mean, of course, this was said to be the B plot. Basically, this is the subplot because the rest of the movie is focused on Sonic, and that's one thing people have said is like the movie. You're making a movie about Sonic the Hedgehog, have Sonic the Hedgehog in it a lot, and this one probably has him more in scenes than maybe movie one does, which is impressive. I will say this: when the wedding bit comes up with Gun coming up, and then the two having to infiltrate and rescue them, I will say that it does feel like, okay, let's get this done as quick as possible. It's like, you think about it, most of the films, they would drag that out for the rest of the movie, build the climax. This one, it's like, right, we're in this, let's get it done in 5 minutes, and then move on to the rest of the movie. I give it credit for that. And, most of the films, they would drag that out, and it'd just be an absolute ball fest, but they just go really quick with it.
Yeah, I don't think it was quick enough.
Oh, yeah, for me, it felt like it was very much like, let's get this done as quick as possible and then get with the rest of the film. And it didn't bother me, but like I said, if it bothered you, fair enough.
Yeah, even though it might have been fast, like maybe 5-10 minutes in the entire film, it just felt like it dragged. I don't know why it just felt like it dragged.
Say, I think one issue is that it does break the pacing because at that point it feels like you want to get to the temple. That's the next big thing, because at this point we've had them, go to the temple, get the compass, and then the snowboarding avalanche thing, and then you're thinking, right, the next bit is finding the temple in the ocean. That's the next real big thing after this.
Yeah, there's one little thing in the Siberia temple I will get to later. Yeah. The biggest draw in this entire film, like Sonic and Tails don't feel like they have much chemistry. Just like, oh yeah, they're friends now, live with it. It's like, okay, so we're doing the same thing as the protagonist romance in a video game. that is one because A, she's the only one with an X chromosome, and B, she has big jugs.
Yeah, I will say that I did read in some interviews, like they were definitely setting up that Tails is a fanatic of Sonic. In fact, when they first meet after the punch up with Knuckles in the house, it's pretty much just like he's already a fan of Sonic, and it's like, okay, how did you know about this? And there is a scene, like say in Siberia, where he says, "I remember the baseball thing when you had that blowout." It's like, yeah, you sent a signal out when I discovered you on my little computer system, so I've been watching all this time. And there was a great joke saying, "Did you watch me in the shower?" Nah, that's a trick question. You always say bubble baths.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but like I said, I did find it a bit. Again, I know that's like an aspect of Tails of like he's technically Sonic's first fan, basically in universe, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And again, it's like they clearly set it up as like obviously he came to Earth because he wanted to warn him about Knuckles and whatever. And there is a bit when he opens the ring portal to Siberia, it's kind of like, well, you don't need me. I'm no good. I'm just a geeky fox kid. That's what I am. And it's like, dude, I need you type deal.
Yeah. But Knuckles was a bigger draw to this, especially the relationship between Sonic and Knuckles during the film, as well as Knuckles and Robotnik.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Knuckles is the best thing of the entire film.
Yeah, I mean,
minus the big battle at the end, because that I was just smiling from ear to ear with that scene.
Okay. I mean, I went in with Junior, who's a massive fan of Knuckles, and he's often said, it's like, I wish they would make him, he kind of said, I miss like Knuckles being cool, because the last few years we've had Boom Knuckles, and even in the games have made him a bit of a dumbass, basically. And this one, it's like, yeah, this is your Knuckles, man. He's back.
Yeah, he's oblivious, not a dumbass.
Yeah. I will say that in terms of characterization, he's probably nearer to, like, say, Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, where he is a warrior character. He speaks very much, and, when he talks like, being an honorable person, whatever. But he doesn't always get what's going on. Like, he's a bit slightly clueless at times. Like, there's the joke of, initially where Eggman is, got these new drones out, he thinks that you're turning on me, I will break all your bones as much as easier than, oh, the stairs. So it's that quick sort of realization, is like, oh, right, that's what's happening.
Yeah, and especially, and to everyone who's got to see it on Twitter and whatnot, is the line ...
Yes. I mean, that just shows it. It's like he just doesn't. He is so focused on getting the task of finding the master animal. What's this Sonic doing? But he's just like, what's this crap? What's this stuff?
Guys,
and like I said,
it's like Idris Elba, interviewing Idris Elba saying how it's not. Knuckles doesn't say anything funny in the entire film. He doesn't.
Yeah,
not one line of his is like funny, pun-worthy, or sarcastic. It is straightforward, deadpan, like honorable.
Exactly.
But that's why it's funny. He's saying stuff that anyone else will find completely normal, and it's just, why is that funny? Why did I giggle at that?
Yeah. And like I said, he's like Drax, isn't he? He doesn't always get, he's always trying, and he's always pretty much in a serious mode. And then when someone mentions like, why would I put his finger around his throat type deal? It's like that level of like, doesn't quite get it, but he's not an idiot.
Yeah. It's like you said, it's like Elba said, it's not what he says, it's how he says
it. Yeah. And what's going on in the scene. Yeah. And like I said, when we get to the ending, I do think there's a really sweet thing with him towards the end as well. But yeah, I really liked how Knuckles was handled in this. And I was surprised like how much of it, again, screen-wise, in terms of screen time for all these characters, is like they are on screen a lot and they all feel like they're given enough development throughout the movie. Like Knuckles' main plot for this movie is he finds Eggman on the Mushroom Planet. He wants to know where the cool came from, finds Sonic, wants to know where the Master Emeralds is, goes to the temple and thinks, if I get it, I can redeem my fallen clan. And of course, he finds out he's get betrayed, and then eventually teams up with Sonic to realize, actually, you know what? You've been kind to that little fox guy and the family, and I guess you got something that I don't, type deal.
Like you see at times, like Sonic's getting through to Knuckles saying, "Hey, we're not enemies. We both lost something on that day." And apparently, I'll get back to that as well because I had another theory on that. That's semi-confirmed, but there is a connection between the two. And
I mean, for the most part, he definitely. I mean, when the fight happens, it's like Sonic isn't trying to battle him on purpose. It's like he's saying, "Look, I don't know what you're talking about." It's like, what the hell is going on here, and all that stuff. He isn't intentionally trying to battle him until, when they get to the temple. That's when it starts getting serious.
Yeah, the temple is just entirely labyrinth, and it's just like, oh, hey, I recognize that.
It does go full Indiana Jones. In fact, there's a line, Robotnik says, I don't want to die this way, it's derivative.
Yeah, and especially when Sonic actually enters the temple as well, he slides down that water thing. It's just like, ha! I get that!
Yeah. Should we talk about the fan service stuff a bit?
It's quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, I will say.
I won't say I recognize every single one of them on the first viewing, though.
Yeah.
But you get the obvious ones. Like I said, you see Sonic sliding down the water. That's Labyrinth, the whole Labyrinth thing, the little crystals.
Show you it's a Labyrinth, yeah. The whole the traps.
The altar itself. It's just a lot to take in, especially for fan service, because you're looking at every single thing.
Yeah, and there's loads of like background jokes and names or whatever. And I will say I was a little worried that it was going to get a bit too what I call fan wanky, where it's just literally just say, "Remember this? You remember that? Yes, you do. Oh, isn't that amazing?" It's like, yeah, you can do something with it. That's the worst case of fan service stuff. But this one is, again, like movie one. There's a lot of like little wink and blinks, and if you check there, there's a cute little thing there. Like I know when they're escaping from the house, Knuckles bashes through that truck full of water. It just says Splash Hill.
I went, no way.
Yeah, again, I like that. That's great little, nobody, if you're not a Sonic fan, you don't know what that means. It's just like a truck full of water and it's got a brand name on it. That's all it is.
Yeah, Splash Hill. It's like, it's water brand new in Green Hill. It's called Splash Hill. What's the difference? Splash Hill was the name of a zone of Sonic the Hedgehog 4.
Exactly, yeah, that's totally fine. I mean, hell, even like the Mean Bean, cafe, it's like you could easily just ignore that, the fact that it's just a cafe name. You don't know if it's a name to a spin-off game from many years ago.
Yeah.
So again, I like the fact they kept that off of the movie, and like I said, the ones where they made it very obviously, it's like they're obviously showing off in a very beautiful way, which is what they want to do.
Very much. There's also a bit in the we've seen it in the trailer, a giant death egg robot.
Yeah, they call it that, but it is the Death Egg robot, basically.
The Egg Sentinel? I don't know.
I think people are calling it Eggbot. I think people are just calling it that for the most part.
Yeah, and Stone holds up a manual, and it's the Genesis logo, but it says Robotnik.
Yeah, that's the most.
That came very quick. It took me a brief second to read it.
You didn't, right? I was going to say. I mean, I would say that's the most. That's near to fan wankiness, but it's a quick joke anyway.
Yeah. Should you talk about the final battle?
Yeah, we will do. I want to briefly mention this. I was chatting to another friend of mine who saw it with his mate, and he went through the movie saying, I didn't see the buzz bombers in this movie. It's like, there were literal shots of the buzz bomber in this movie. And it's like, he's like, yeah, you missed all of it. They were blatantly on the screen. So I am surprised, because you often think to yourself, it's like, they don't make this subtle, folks, when they do these little winks and nods and Easter eggs, establishing shots and all that stuff. It's like, there are some people out there who will miss them. And I did say to them
yeah, there was another quick scene as well with Wade the sheriff.
Oh, yeah,
Stone's on the computer going through like different outfits, and one of them is the classic Robotnik look.
Yeah, and I am kind of curious whether or not Jim Carrey actually dressed up in that, or they just photoshopped him, because I know one of the images they use, he looks like Megamind in the Black Mamba outfit. That's one of the images on there. So there you go.
Yeah. So it kind of has both. It has the full-on look at this. It's blinking and miss it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the best ones is where they recontextualize it, so it actually is part of the movie. So, like I said, having the labyrinth as a death maze trap thing, having Robotnik and Knuckles go through it themselves, and having the drones getting destroyed all the way through. Again, that's a good way of reintroducing things, and even, those are great. And even, I will say, the one thing I wish they did for Sonic is you see him going to the temple. Actually, I'll mention this quickly. One of the things that surprised me is that a lot of the shots in the film that have been in the trailers and advertisement, a lot of them have been changed. I was surprised at how many of them were changed in the end result.
Yeah, the do it look like I need your power quote. That's much earlier. That was much earlier.
The same shot.
Worked. The thing is, though, it worked better when he held Sonic, not just said it.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like we did say this before. It's like they clearly did. It's kind of weird that all the effects they did for this movie, they would have had to done twice, one's for advertisement and the one for the movie. I mean, we said this before, like, I kind of wish they still kept the Death Egg robot a secret all the way up to actually showing it in the movie, because I just thought that would have been...
Mind you, I think the other reveal at the end was a much better thing.
Probably, yeah.
If it wasn't freaking linked by McDonald's, but whatever.
Yeah. But again, it's like they were starting to show that in the advertisement anyway. So it would have been me. If it was me, I would have, still alluded to it, still have the Chaos Tornado energy, but, maybe have the eyes and mouth glowing out of it to at least allude to, oh, it's coming. We just go see the cinema type deal. But yeah, I was kind of surprised how many of them would change. Some of them, I don't know, like some of them are a bit shorter than they were in the advertisement. There's some that I don't think look as good in the finished film. They're just like, some of them are just like quick edits and whatever. So it's a bit of an odd thing for me, but who knows? When I see it again on home media, I may change my mind.
Yeah, but the final battle, my God.
Yeah. Oh, should we mention? Sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to say, should we talk about the opening of the film? Like, we do have the movie opens up with Robotnik on the mushroom planet, which I was kind of surprised they did that. I didn't think we were going to get that much on the mushroom planet. I thought it was going to be a much quicker thing.
Yeah, him surviving on there, apparently trying to make coffee out of mushrooms.
Yeah. And again, I do like the fact that they still, he's in the same outfit from movie one. The goggle's still broken on one lens. And, he even manages to take the elements from his old ship to actually make a radar so he can get off the planet with the intention of whoever comes, he's going to take them out as quick as possible so he can just leg it to it. I thought that was really good. And also, I will say this, I swear there is an Adventures reference in there. Robotnik talking, he's doing a monologue about being on the planet, and he does this whole thing where it's like, playing chess with himself, and he does a bit of Aurora like Lon John Barry. So he does a bit of that in there.
I must have missed that bit.
Yeah, believe me, you will notice it. You will notice it the second time around, man. So
okay.
But yeah, I mean, that was good. I also like the opening in Seattle, which one weird thing is that I think there was rumors going around that was going to be called Emerald Hill City. In fact, I was playing Sonic Dash game where they've updated it, and they actually have a level that's set in Emerald Hill. They call it Emerald Hill City. So I'm surprised it's actually called Seattle in the film, because you see it on the side of the cars as well. Yeah,
I think it's only goes so far with naming different cities things in established cities. Like, I get confused by when, like, DC did the same thing. There's Central City, here's Gotham. And it's like, can we just have the normal cities like Marvel does?
I mean, again, it's like it's their version of New York or Atlanta or whatever it is, that sort of thing. So again, I kind of wish because we did talk about this, like we assumed like Green Hills, there's a Green Hill in the other side of the universe and there's an actual Earth version. I thought like, oh, they'll keep that up. There'll be like Earth versions of game places basically in there. But but I do like the opening sequence. I thought it was really good of Sonic, taking down a bunch of criminals. There's a bit where he's doing a monologue about, I fear not citizens, I am here to rescue you. And he almost goes Darkwing Duck a bit, like, I am the sock that you can't find in the morning. And before, he actually swears in this. He actually says, holy crap.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Is this the first time, at least in English form, Sonic swore?
Sonic himself?
Sonic himself, is he ever swore in any other context?
I don't know. I need to double check on that.
Right. Because again, it's very quick.
I mean, Shadow does, but yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, it's the first time he does say holy crap. Again, it's really quick, but he does say it.
Yeah.
And I do love the end where he can't stop the truck. So what does he do? He unbolts the whole thing and it comes apart as it slowly draws to a little kid. I mean, that is so Sonic the Hedgehog. That's definitely what he would do.
Yeah.
The final battle.
Yeah, the final battle. We're going to talk about the Sonic versus Knuckles battle as well, because that was really fun to watch. Like using both their powers to clash. Knuckles doing that succession of punches. Sonic bouncing. It's like, you do the bounce bracelet? Really? You're doing this move?
I was going to say he kind of like drop kicks. He's like doing a spin dash drop kick on him basically over and over again.
And also he spin dashes as well. So he rarely spin dashed in the first film. I don't think he ever did it.
Yeah,
he did it several times.
Yeah, he does it. Like the first thing he does when he jumps off the side of the building in Seattle, he does do it to catch up with the truck.
Yeah, I think I noticed that in the trailer as well. It's like it was when I hear that sound of revving up.
Yeah, they do their gene. I can't do it, but everybody knows what it is. Yeah, that thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you hear that when he's going through the labyrinth.
Oh yeah, he does that. I will say there's a couple of cool shots. There's one where Knuckles has his fist up and he's glowing with the red energy and his eyes are glowing, and that looked really cool. There's another cool shot where he's been punched into a side of waterfall, and you just see the electricity just zipping, and you just see the silhouette of his eyes glowing. It's like, that looked really good. That was a really good shot.
Yeah, that whole battle was good fan service as well. Like, Sonic and Knuckles fighting is really good. Like, you compare it to the episode 4 Sonic X.
Yeah, because people did point out that he does try to punch him and he's dodging it all the way through. That is the most, again, that's clearly has to be a reference. I mean, it's funny that a lot of the reference in this film, so I do question how much of it was intentional or whether they just thought this would look cool anyway. So
there's a deliberate reference, and then there's what Cash Cat did with the Escape from the City song. It sounds exactly like the Endless Mine from Sonic 3.
Yeah. But like I said, I do again, I wouldn't be surprised if they took some visual cues from comics and TV and whatever, and just we'll just do it for the sequence, because they even managed to get the air bubble in this. I was surprised they figured out a way to get that in here. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of every little detail of that. I mean, Robotnik gets the emerald, which I gotta talk about that. We're going to talk about that as well very quickly. Is that the 7 emeralds come together to form the Master Emerald?
Now, when I saw that, I did think to myself, I bet Dan's going to be quite pissed at that.
I'm not pissed. I don't like it, because I always like the servers had a 7 chaos, and the controllers are one that unifies the chaos. 7 emeralds and a Master Emerald. It's always been like that. Except for the Fleetway ones, because the green emerald's a Master Emerald.
Yeah. I mean, again,
why? But whatever.
I mean, let's be fair, you have done a video talking about how the emeralds were made and even why they changed from the 2D games to 3D games. So you have done a bit of stuff about them before.
Yeah. So I don't like it, but I get it. I get why. You combine these forces together and they become an unstoppable force, the Master Emerald.
Yeah.
And we later see the Master Emerald shatter. And Robotnik gets it, and he becomes the, Chaos Robotnik.
Yeah, I will say when he gets it, he does this whole speech before he teleports. And I thought he was going to say chaos control, but he says chaos is power. I did think he was going to say that.
Yeah, and he uses, he does his own chaos control as well, which was like
he does teleport. He does zip from one thing to another very quickly.
Yeah, and he uses that to form the Eggbot.
Yeah.
So it's actually Chaos Tornado in the trailers.
Yeah.
And just that whole battle, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles fighting together. Knuckles is doing his own thing. Just falls off the plane. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, let's have a plane. Oh, he just fell off. You know.
And just seeing them just work together and just zipping through the entire city. I held myself back from jumping up and down in the seat. It's just like, I like this.
I mean, we have to remind ourselves when the movie was first being made, like the first photos we got were the stand-ins for Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and that was like the main thing they were showing off. Is like, oh, this is for the big climax, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although I do remember at one point there was a photo of them that looked like all of them were going to be in a spin dash form, and I don't know whether that was originally intended or whether they changed it or whether it was just done for like a reference thing, i.e., if we're going to have these characters zipping, we'll just have a ball so you could just track them, and then we could digitize the environments and all that stuff.
Yeah. The big fight against the Eggbot, that was just so fun to watch. It was so much fun. It had to keep up, but it made sense.
Yeah. I will say the Death Egg robot itself, like when we've seen it in some of the trailers, it's massive. I mean, it's the biggest. I mean, it's bigger than any of the Transformers for any of the movies that have been made. So it's huge. But there's a few shots of it where I swear it didn't look quite right. And mainly, like when he first walks, he does
like the distant shots.
Yeah, well, like even like some of the close-ups, you get the real scale of it. But then, like as you say, the distant shots, it's. When you first see it moving, he just is very like he's getting his arms out, like doing this big like jolly man walking type deal in some shots, and it looks a lot lighter than it should do. It's the way it's animated; it looks a bit odd to me. Then there are other times where it looks like this big, heavy industrial machine thing. But I will say, like towards the end of the battle, like unsurprisingly, there's a whole bit where he gets his emerald kicked out. Robotic gets the emerald kicked out of him, and he reverts back to just the manual control. It then looks like this unstoppable 10 million ton behemoth at that point.
It has the nose laser.
Yeah.
I don't like this. Why you got nose laser? Because the Death Egg robot did it in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I would prefer it to be red, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you do see it glow. It glows green because of the chaos energy, and then you see it glow red when it's on its backup power. Another thing I thought was kind of weird on my second viewing. I was wondering because during that whole thing, Agent Stone, there's a whole subplot with Agent Stone that he's missing Robotnik, and it's more or less confirmed that he has a crush on him. It's clear that he has feelings for his former boss / abuser, basically.
Yeah.
And again, it's like he just gets teleported up into the Death Egg robot, and I was wondering like where he was because he's in the control pad, and I was wondering where is he sitting. I notice he's in the nose. He's in the nose area of the whole head.
Yeah, he gets knocked out.
Yeah, he gets knocked out. Well, he initially has to bear.
And then I'm going to mention it. So the big reveal at the end is just like, the emerald shatters, and just the chaos emeralds again, which are much smaller than I thought they would be.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking to myself, you remember those Sonic X toys that came out years ago? Those little action figure things, which were like rebrands of the eventual ones. They look the same size as those little emeralds they came in. I swear to God, they're like the same size.
Yeah, or the size of those, like those like knockoff sets you get on eBay.
Yeah,
those those size. You can actually.
Yeah, I mean, I get why, because it's like if they all come together to form the Master Emerald, that's why it's it's a pretty big thing anyway. In comparison to him.
I would still prefer the Master Emerald to be as big as it was in Sonic 1, but yeah.
Yeah.
And Super Sonic is in this.
Yeah.
That was going to be in the end of the first film. They started to hold back on it. And it looks so good.
Yeah, I got to admit, I didn't think. I mean, to be fair, the moment they put the Master Emerald in there, it's kind of like, well, if you're going to do that, you're going to put Super Sonic in this. That's your excuse, isn't it? Type deal.
It's a kind of an Ex Machina kind of thing. It just comes out of nowhere, but you expect it. Like Chaos Emeralds turn super. Super. Super.
Yeah. So I'm gonna admit, I didn't think they were going to do it this early. I thought like at one point they'll do it. I didn't think they would go to movie 2 to do it, but they do it. They fully do it, and there's many people. In fact, James of all things done a vlog of it, and apparently when he saw it the first time, as he's rushing through destroying the Death Egg robot, he says, "Kick his ass!" Apparently he shouted that in the audience.
Yeah, and just like zoom through, like there's your unleashed comparison because that's what you did on the
Yeah,
giant
the
egg fleet,
Unleashed.
and just tip a Sonic 06 reference to take down the
Yes,
egg robot.
that's the
A
thing.
Sonic 06 reference takes down the egg robot.
I know, of all things they took from that game, they take the one cool scene from that game. I was genuinely surprised. And again, I told James this, and he's like, wait, that was a reference? Like, yeah, that's from Sonic 06. Like, oh my God. And I will say the thing that made me laugh the most is afterwards, it cuts back to Robot and go, oh, so it's going to be like that. Okay, I guess we're not friends then. And just lies back for something. All right, I'm dead. I'm accepting it now. It just falls over.
Yeah, Jim Carrey was basically himself again. It's like
Yeah.
you're a bit more manic in this one because you just spent over 250 days on a mushroom planet trying to make coffee.
Yeah. I will say I was a little worried again with, because in movie one, it did feel a bit restrained, like it wasn't going full Carrey. And part of me was a bit thinking, reason why I felt that worked is because they weren't just letting him just riff, and it was like letting go on for 5 minutes doing a gif, doing a silly joke, which in these other movies, that's fine, but it's like other comedians do that and that offsets the pacing of the rest of the film. So it's like you're watching a stand up. And that's what I liked about movie one is like they just took the best bits and then used it in the finished film. And again, I think they've done the same thing. It's like he does go a bit more manic in here, but it still restrains it. Again, they still use the best takes to serve the rest of the film.
Yeah. And he flosses.
Yeah. Although it does have a bit of this way, is like he flopped. Sonic did it in movie one. He just think, well, he's a kid, kids do that. I mean, we said it before. It's like when we were kids, we were doing the crash dance, so there's no shame in that.
I was doing the monkey from Johnny Bravo. Thank you very much.
Well, there you go. We were doing stupid dances anyway. So generations, same different generations, same silly dance, or different whatever.
Yeah, and Robotnik does a floss when he's trying to convince Knuckles to join with him.
Yeah, he just say like, I didn't understand any what you said. I will say that if that was the excuse to have him floss, just for Knuckles to say, I don't know what the hell you did, it's worth it. It's worth it for that joke.
Yeah. And a baseball scene where Knuckles doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, I will actually. Here's a quick thing. Going back to Supersonic here, is that afterwards, obviously defeating the Death Ray robot. There's a quick bit where it's suggested maybe Sonic's gone bad because he's got all the energy, the emeralds in him, and they do this whole thing where he summons the Dark Cloud. You're thinking, oh, okay. And there was a bit of thinking, are they going to go the UK Sonic the Comic thing with Supersonic being a monster? But then they do it as a gag because he summons a chili dog in the end, and it's like, oh, okay, all right. And I will admit, again, that's the case. So you're setting something up and you subverting the audience expectations just to do a gag, but it's a really well done gag.
Yeah, a godly chili dog he'll never have again.
Yeah, exactly. I will say briefly about the emeralds. The one thing I wish they did a bit more is in, like I said, they have a little flashback scene, or like Tails tells them like whoever owns the Master Emerald gets this godlike power. It doesn't really say like it corrupts the person, because even with Robotnik at first, it's like he's kind of out there. He's like his mind's everywhere.
Yeah, it grants the wishes of those who hold it.
Yeah,
like it's pretty much a Triforce in a sense.
In a sense, but it's not like it changes the person of it. It's like they get corrupted by the power, effectively. I mean, there is a line later on.
You can be, greed. You can be greedy about it.
Yeah,
but that's about it.
Yeah, I would only say the only thing, if it was me, I would have at least put in the line saying whoever owns it, it does change them and it may corrupt them and all that stuff. I thought, again, that would have made the line of Knuckles saying he's not the same Sonic as you before. It's like, well, you sure? Because it's only the Emeralds, not the Master Emeralds doing it. So again, I would have, it's the only like minor rewrite I would have tried to do to clarify that a bit more, if that was the intention.
Yeah, and he forms the Emerald again.
Yeah.
Even though the Emerald shut off, so it's pretty much different.
Yeah. And again, the funny thing is we do see Sonic does dissipate and the emeralds fly off. Supposedly they do the Dragon Ball thing where they just fly off, I guess, all over the world now.
Makes you wonder what the Master Emerald is technically, since it doesn't really have the emeralds anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that if they go with the regular game logic, is in the Master Emerald is still the main control one, that it could summon the other ones back if it wanted to.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the setup for what they're going to do next, but we'll get to that soon. But yeah, in general, I mean, the final battle thing was pretty good. I will say I kind of wish there was a few shots of it. I wish they were done a little differently. But yeah, I did. This is the other weird thing, is that when I first watched it, I did feel like there were some shots of it where it looked good, but I don't know. It's like, again, I don't know whether because the film was released early, like the footage of it didn't look as clean. to me for whatever reason. Maybe it was because I was seeing it on such a big screen initially. I don't know, compared to when you see it on the trailer. So I'm kind of curious to see this again and whether or not the stuff that some of the action scenes I didn't feel as it was cohesive. Like I couldn't follow it as well as say in movie one. But when I see it again, maybe on home media, again on DVD, whatever, it's like maybe it'll look as good. Sometimes there are weird things where you see in the cinema and it doesn't look as good, but when you see it on your big TV, you know, it's like, oh, actually, this looks kind of cool. This looks a bit better.
Yeah.
That sometimes happens. So that's my only quibble, really.
And the credit sequence.
Yeah.
The credit scene as well to establish Sonic 3.
Yes. Should we mention the ending of the film first? Because, like I said, they do end it with all three of them playing baseball together, which I thought that was a nice way of wrapping it up to Sonic playing it on his own, now actually having friends to play it with. And I do love Knuckles' attitude throughout the whole thing that he said. It's like, what have I got against the ball? You know, I'm here. This is first. I have conquered first base. This is my area. That whole thing of just him.
Like I said, Knuckles had a lot of many lines. The one I really giggled at was, Sonic tells us there are sprinkles.
Yes. Yeah. As I said, my friend.
Again, Junior, it shouldn't be funny.
Yeah. Again, I think my favorite line from that is when they're getting in the truck and say, my chariot awaits, and just jump straight in.
Yeah.
So
the credit scene to establish Sonic 3, if Jeff Fowler wants to do it, and if Jerry comes back to be in the fat suit.
Yeah, because that's yeah.
No, it'd be around a bush. Shadow the Hedgehog.
They're doing Adventure 2's setup.
I called it. I fucking called it. I called it. It was one of 3 theories I could have had to establish Sonic the Hedgehog 3, but guess what? It was number 1. Shadow the Hedgehog being Sonic 3. I fucking called it.
Yeah. Again, we did say like it was either going to be 3 things. They meet turns of Metal Sonic's introduced, or they do Shadow the Hedgehog.
Called it.
Yeah.
Now the question is, who's going to voice him? All I can say is, please not Kirk Thornton. I don't care if he's the current voice actor for it. I don't like him as Shadow.
I mean, put it this, I actually got a few things to think about with movie 3. I mean, on the one hand, I get why they do it because there's always been this thing about I've always joked about, I call him Mr. Moody because he's always like the Mr. Broody guy and all that stuff.
Technically, the actual name is Mr. Unsmiley.
All right, then. I'll go with that. Yeah, and the thing is like, everybody loves to criticize him, but it's like he's arguably one of the most popular Sonic characters out there. That's the reason why he's still got a huge following. That's why he appeared in Boom, for God's sake. For a narrative reason, there's no reason for him to be there, but he's there because of popularity.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think for movie 3, again, something that Jeff said in an interview is like, the thing is that they're not following the games in any chronological order. The fact that they're saying we used Labyrinth Zone, which is in game 1, but was in movie 1 because we didn't have any fantastical areas to go in that movie. So they got to use it in this one. So seeing how they're going to go with, I said this before in the previous ones, is like the movies are similar to Transformers films where they're taking elements from the games, but they're playing around with them. They're mixing, matching them. They're using them in different contexts and telling their own stories, basically. And
yeah,
I have
my other question about, besides who's going to voice Shadow, right now obviously by Vin Diesel or Jason Statham in my head.
Well, we do get a joke about the rivalry between Vin Diesel and The Rock, so I don't know.
Yeah, I just mind you, Jason Statham could work better.
Jason Statham, oh god.
It's funny and it works.
Yeah, I mean he can be funny, Jason Statham. I mean, similar to like that.
Especially if you see Mean Machine. My other question would be, would he be an extraterrestrial like Sonic is, or is he going to be genetic?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because they do say, because in the sequence they say they found a secret base. They never said it's in space. They said it's a secret base. So it's supposed to be
from 50. As soon as they said 50 years ago, it's like, oh yeah, I fucking knew it.
Yeah, as soon as they said 50 years ago, there's this secret base. So it's like, okay, they're setting up like Area 51 or Gun's equivalent of Area 51.
Yeah.
That's the
Apparently, Gun was established after Sonic stopped Robotnik.
Yeah,
I would be surprised if Gun was already a thing that just reestablished itself because of Sonic.
Yeah, here's the thing though. Here's my idea. Here's my pitch for what Sonic Movie 3 could be about with Shadow. here's the thing. So they set up the idea because the whole thing is that they've been going through Robotnik's files, and supposed to be 50 years ago, there's a thing. So are they going to do, here's the deal, because there's been talk about Jim Carrey retiring after this. He said in an interview that he's kind of done, he's got enough, and he's quite happy just doing what he does on his own downtime. Again, they've already mentioned that there's no idea if they're going to replace him or whatever, and I don't think he will. I think maybe he will be for movie 3. I think it's a deal they made. If he's going to be in these movies, he's going to do a 3-movie deal. But here's an interesting thing. If he's going to retire, my ideal scenario is not only does he get to play the bad guy, but he can play Joe Robotnik. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole setup is that Shadow is the creation of Joe Robotnik, who is the grandfather of Robotnik in continuity anyway. And we know in this establishment, they made it that Robotnik in the movie version is an orphan. They say that as he was an orphan, but they could rely on the fact that maybe his grandfather worked with the government that originally set up the Shadow Project in the first place. And then you still do the base story. You still had a granddaughter, this whole thing up. But then the government came in, killed his granddaughter. Then he went on this revenge, this whole down with humanity thing, with my creation thing. And maybe one of the things they did is they severed all ties with that, and maybe even relatives to that, to maybe the Robotnik's family was stricken from the records. They had no association with this. And that's why Robotnik was an orphan. But because of his genius, because of his intelligence, they put him back in without knowing he was related to that guy.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, and like I said, it'd be a great way. I think it'd be a great way for Jim Carrey, if he's going to end his career. You can have him play 2 roles in the same film. You can have him do his shtick, goofy, wacky stuff, but you can play a more serious role. He can play, because we've seen him he's done straight roles before. And again, I think he can do it. I think he could play a man who has literally lost everything and has resorted to this literally, I'm going to take humanity down for what they did to me type deal.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised for that.
Yeah, so like I said, I don't think Jim Carrey will be leaving. Yeah, I do think if they're going to have him for movie 3, I ideally think it would be great.
He has mentioned he would like to play Robotnik in a fat suit.
He has said that, yes. I am glad that he's on board with that, because that's something I'm hoping that will happen. I was hoping that movie 2 would start with him being in a rash, just eating the mushrooms or whatever, but, who knows? Maybe, say, in movie 3, he survives that whole thing and he's been hiding out in a little area and he's just been eating because he just can't think of anything else to do.
Yeah.
So there's your excuse to make him fat. So if he's willing to be put in a fat suit, let him be in the fat suit. That's all I say.
It'd be like what's the voice actor for Eddie? He retired, but he only did the one voice until it finished.
Yeah, I mean, he very much loved that character anyway, so that's the reason he just said, I'm never going to play another role as good as this, so I'm just going to move on with my life. So that's what he did. And again, I think you can. The other thing I would like to see in Sonic Movie 3 is they end it with the idea is that Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are they're now part of the Wachowski family now, basically. I like the idea for movie 3 is they're all living together. So Sonic has the attic as his bedroom. You can probably have Tails in the garage, and then maybe Knuckles can have a little hut in the garden for all we know. And they're all they're part of this family group now, and that's something they made a big deal, because there is the scene with Sonic in the boat with Tom and talking about trying to be a hero, but you're still a 12-year-old kid getting into the trouble. So it's you still have to learn a few things about life before you.
Yeah, you're my friend, not my dad.
Exactly, yeah. And it ends with him actually saying, thanks, Dad, because he does feel like they are family now. And I actually do like the idea of them as a family group. There is something quite sweet about it in a weird way.
Yeah.
Because again, we've never, in most of the other continuities and TVs and games, it's he's had family members, he's had uncles and whatever, and mums and dads, but he's never really had a family of his own for the most part. He's normally just been a loner or just going off to the next adventure. That's been his mantra for the most part.
Yeah. I think we should wrap this up, because we've been ranting and talking and raving about this movie for over an hour now.
Yeah, but like I said, for the most part, I do think there is a lot of good opportunities for movie 3. I'll end with this actually. Having now seen this movie, I am curious whether or not the planned Knuckles spin-off show, whether that's going to be of stuff they were going to do for movie 2, but couldn't fit it in because it would have been too long, or even scenes they were going to put in, but then had to cut it down for the finished movie.
Yeah. Before I forget, when I mentioned earlier about the Siberian temple, the glyphs that Sonic uses to unlock the compass, they're Babylonian.
Yeah, Tyson has said so. And if he says so, it must be true.
Guess what? That means my theory is confirmed. Longclaw is a Babylonian. Ha 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 ha. It means my backup theory on the Bluebird about Sonic being over thousands of years old because by Hakukamak. Nope, that's completely that's dissolved that one. Because turns out Knuckles and Bahakamak or Locke, as you want to call him. Yep, Knuckles was alive back then, so the same time difference.
I would say
same time frame.
Yeah. I would say that's the thing, because we do get a flashback of him when his tribe is going off to supposedly find the Master Emerald or whatever, and we do see Knuckles as a little kid. And I'm kind of curious, it's like, was this happening at the same time when Sonic was a kid? Because, I mean,
it's exactly, like I said, both of them lost everything that day. Both the kid, I guess the last kid in the tribe.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was left behind. And she was the last of the Long Claws.
Yeah, she was last of the Owl Light race. So again, it's clearly that the setting up is in they both were part of something that was taken away because of this warring tribe thing. And presumably in the spin-off show, we're going to find out what happened with that and what went down to them being killed off, presumably.
Yeah. So if you haven't already and you just wanted to listen to us rant and rave and get spoiled on it, go see Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Go see it again. Get this on the several, more than 60 million, get to 100 million, so we can get the third movie officially.
Yeah, it's already, the box office said it's the #1 movie in the UK. It's doing well on your end of the world. It's doing way better than Paramount thought it was going to do. So yeah, it's bringing in the money for both the studios. I mean, we don't work for them, but yeah, it's a hit. If you worry that, oh no, the Jared Leto movie is going to be in the records, guys, don't worry, that was never going to happen.